What's going on, my people? So I've been knocking out the videos today, and I always have a list of videos that hit me throughout the week, and I just write them down and then knock them out in a day, then get to editing them so I can have them for y'all throughout the week. Today we're talking about something that has truly transformed my life and my perception once I really understood it. Is the 7 laws of Tehuti. Okay, Tehuti is a Kemetic deity, but I'm not even going to get into Tehuti. This is just about the 7 universal laws, alright? And understanding these 7 universal principles will just help you so much on your journey, okay? Because this, just like the law of gravity, how there's nothing you can do about that. Gravity is gravity. It exists regardless of what you want to believe or not about it. That's the same with these 7 universal principles. Okay, so this is going to be a brief overview. I may do individual videos where I talk about each principle on its own, because it's so much I could say about it. I also wanted to mention the Kybalion. I'm going to put a link below to the PDF for the Kybalion, because if you're coming across this video, you're ready to be initiated. And I'm not talking about the Illuminati. I'm talking about into this real spiritual work, okay? So yes, all right, you're gonna start coming in. You're coming into the know when you start learning about this type of stuff and actually applying and understanding these principles in your life. So I'm gonna try to make this video as brief as possible, but still provide an explanation about these 7 universal laws, okay? Which I like to call the 7 universal laws of Tehuti. You may have also heard of them as the 7 Hermetic Principles, but Tehuti came first, okay? So the principle of mentalism: all is mind, the universal is mental. See, this is all wrong. This is why I don't like to read stuff from blog sites. I should have read this from my own site, but I just changed my whole structure. The principle of mentalism: the all is mind, the universe is mental. That's what this is supposed to say. It says this principle embodies the truth that the all or God is mind. It explains that the all is the substantial reality underlying all of the visible manifestations and appearances we categorize as the material universe. Matter, energy, everything that is apparent to our senses. This entity, the all, is pure spirit, which is unknowable, undefinable, but is regarded in the most ancient traditions as a universal, infinite, living mind. I might have to find another site, because this is saying stuff that, this is saying stuff that I'm like, I wish I could find mine. I don't want to read all of that. Okay, here we go. I should just be reading it from the Kybalion. Matter of fact, let me pause this video. Let's do a repeat. Let me pause this. I'm about to pull up the Kybalion on my phone, and then we're going to do it from there. Okay, so now I have the Kybalion pulled up, and I'm not going to read everything under these principles. Like I said, I'm going to put the PDF in the link below, okay? So what this says, I'm going to skip down. It says the Hermetic student, which I told you they call them the 7 Hermetic Principles also, is able to apply intelligently the great mental laws instead of using them in a haphazard manner. With the master key in his possession, the student may unlock many doors of the mental and psychic temple of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all of these are subordinate to the mastery of mind. Okay, so, and then let me read this. It says, he who grasps the truth of mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. And these words are true today as the time they were first written. Without this mastery key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at many doors of the temple. Woo! Okay, all is mental. This is where everything starts. Without this knowledge, there's nothing that you can do. You know, this also correlates to creating your own reality. What do everybody say? The reality is in the mind. Whatever you're experiencing is a result of your mind. You're projecting your own reality into this holographic universe, y'all. You know, like I said, I'm going to make an individual video about each of these principles. It's probably something I'll do over the next few weeks. Even when you're talking about the law of attraction, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, you got to change your energy, you got to change your mind, you got to think positive. Even when I told y'all I was studying like very successful and wealthy people, they all of them said that it began with their thoughts. You know, some people would do things like, you know, write things they wanted to believe, put it in their pocket, so that when they read it, I am wealthy, I'm happy, I'm successful. Every time they'll put their hand in their pocket, they'll read that and believe it. Jim Carrey, I forgot how much it was for, but I think he wrote himself like a $10 million check. He kept it in his pocket. Every day he would pull it out. He had a check that he wrote to himself before he was famous. And then a year later, he ended up getting a deal and he received that first $10 million check. So these are just small examples, but truly everything happens in the mind. We create our own reality within our minds. Okay, so even when you're trying to manifest, a mistake that a lot of people make is that they're trying to feed themselves thoughts that they don't believe. Okay, so people use their minds in the wrong way. The videos I did about meditation, this is really going to help you with this aspect of mentalism, because it's going to be able to allow you to use your mind as a tool and not let your mind use you and create a reality in which you don't want. Okay, because bottom line, always know, whether you're living in poverty or disease or disaster, or whether you're living in financial well-being, prosperity, and luxury, it's all a reflection of your own mind. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I told y'all I don't want to stay too long on this. I want to make, because this is 7 principles I gotta go over. As above, so below. As above, as below, so above. Okay, this is principle 2. Y'all hear me say this, and I also add so within, so without, but that's not actually what this says. What it actually says, as above, so below. As below, so above. A lot of people will see the Baphomet like this and they're like, oh, that's the devil stuff. But actually, one of the things that he's referring to when he's pointing like this is as above, so below. There's a lot of esoteric and spiritual elements within that symbol. A lot of people are afraid of it, but they don't even take the time to understand what it actually means. Okay, don't let people misinform you or say, oh, this is devil stuff, and then close you off to knowledge. Because it's easy in this society, all you have to say is something is evil, and then people won't even do the research themselves to see what it actually is about. Is this actually about Satan, or is this about spiritual enlightenment? Anyways, let's continue to move on. So this principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws of phenomena, between the laws and phenomena of various planes and beings of life. This old Hermetic axiom ran in the words, as above, so below, as below, so above. And grasping this principle gives one the means of solving many dark paradox and hidden secret of nature. There are many planes beyond our knowing, but when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much of what otherwise would be unknowable to us. This principle is of universal application and manifestation on the various planes of material, mental, and spiritual. Universite is a universal law. The ancient Hermeticists consider this principle as one of the most important mental instruments by which man is able to pry aside the obstacles which hid from the view of the unknown. Its use even tore aside the veil of Isis to the extent that the glimpse of the face of the goddess might be caught. Alright, I'm not about to read this whole thing. The thing about, and that was almost it. I didn't mean to read the whole thing because I don't want this to be a me reading to y'all, which you can read to yourself. But the principle as above, so below basically means that what is going on within is without. You know, the same, just like we're made of the same material that's in the cosmos. The same material that makes up the stars, that's what our bodies are composed of. So a lot of things that we can't physically go see or physically go examine for ourselves, by just observing what we are able to observe and understanding that those same principles exist outwardly, then we're able to understand those things better. And that's basically what this principle was saying. I just said it in layman's terms. But for the principle of as below, so above, even deeper than that, it makes you realize, you know, how much power that you have as a human being, you know, or a spiritual being, or whatever you want to call yourself, as a being of light. That's the best way to describe, because we're all beings of light. Even think about it like this: when you see a star at night, you would think like it's light, but really it's not. It's a lot of dust particles and different elements that if you saw it up close, it wouldn't even look like that. It's a physical thing. That's the same thing with our bodies. We're up close to each other, but we don't understand we're light beings, just like when you see a light in the sky. So that's just a simple example of as above, so below. And also for me, understanding that just helps me in so many different ways to realize the true essence of my nature and the true things that I can tap into. You know, understanding that I have access to things that are beyond my physical nature, just because I am also a part of those things. We are one with the cosmos. So I wanted to touch on that. Then you have the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Now y'all have heard me say before in other videos that everything around you is energy, everything around you is vibration. Nothing is just dead. Nothing is. Not even your TV. You think it's just sitting there, but everything has energy, everything has vibration. It says this principle embodies the truth that everything is in motion, everything vibrates, nothing is at rest. Facts which modern science endorses and which each new scientific discovery tends to verify. And yet this Hermetic principle was enunciated thousands of years ago. The principle explains the difference between the different manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit, resulting largely from varying rates of vibration. From the all, which is pure spirit, down to the grossest form of matter, all in which is vibration, higher the vibration, the higher the position on the scale. There are more to say on this. I'm going to stop right there, okay? Everything vibrates. So the things that you can see, the things that are dense, you can see your body, you can see the table, I can see my crystals. These all have different energies, but they're all lower, denser energies, because you can actually see them with your physical eyes. The reason I love this principle, the principle of vibration, is because not only does it correspond to your frequency and what you're doing, you know, and what you're manifesting in your life, this principle corresponds to the fact that just because, you know, we assume that the things that we can't see are not real. It's not that they're not real, it's that they're vibrating at a different frequency. Something that has a higher vibration, you can't see it. Just like you hear of angels, or you hear of actual light beings that are not in this form of a physical body, but they're light beings, or spirit guides, or different deities, or different thought forms. All of these things are vibrations. They're just vibrating at a higher level that you cannot see them with your physical eyes. You know, even a person's aura is on a different frequency. That's why only some people who are in tune with higher vibrations and higher frequencies can see auras, which is something that I've experienced. I don't walk around seeing people's auras, but I remember the first time I saw an aura, I saw my daughter's aura. Her aura was white and yellow. I saw it clear as day. It's kind of like you don't see it with your eyes, you see it with your other eyes. And I saw it clear as day. I looked it up. I'm like, of course, her aura would be white and yellow. One day I saw my own aura looking in the mirror after I came out of meditation. It was yellow and green. I looked up what does it mean to have a yellow and green aura. If y'all want to look it up, y'all look it up. I swear it was me precisely. Things that I deal with, even in business, even in the way that I handle my life. I was like, whoa, that's definitely my aura. I saw it right. So those are things that you understand with vibration. You just understand that there's so many different aspects and so many different things and so many different realms and dimensions that you can't see, but it's not because it doesn't exist. It's that it exists at a different vibration, and a vibration that you might not be perceptive to. That's why when you talk about doing third eye meditation and third eye work and opening your pineal gland, that's going to give you access to dimensions that you don't have access to in the physical body. Okay. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. I'm going to read a little snippet. It says everything is the same. Everything has opposites. This thesis and antithesis are identical in nature but different in degree. Opposites are the same, differing only in degree. The pairs of opposites may be reconciled. Extremes meet. Everything is and isn't at the same time. All truths are but half truths. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything, etc., etc. So I said that because I always love that. But the principle of polarity, for me, what it does is, when I remember when I first read that principle, it really opened my mind to how I perceive things, and to realize that really everything is the same. Just like if you think about hot and cold, where does hot truly separate from cold? Like, at what point does cold become hot and hot become cold? they're the same thing, but they're just two different degrees. You know, you think about love and you think about fear. Those are two opposite things. You see what I'm saying? So at what degree is love and what degree is fear? They're two really of the same energy. Because if you think of, most people would think hate is the opposite of love, but really it's not. I would put hate more in the category of like anger or something like that. But really fear is the opposite of love, because what? Love casts out all fear. That's even a Bible verse. You see, but when you have those are two strong emotions. Or even, let's say we go to hate. All right, let's just use hate as an example, even though I don't think that's the opposite of love. But let's use that since that's a popular comparison. What happens in relationships? You love somebody to death, and that same person, as soon as things go sour, you hate them, or you feel you hate them. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same intensity, but different degrees. It's the same level of emotion. You're not going to hate somebody who you didn't care about. So if Joe Blow comes up to you and says, you suck, you're going to be like, so? You suck too. But if somebody that you love hurts you, you're, instead of feeling that strong emotion of love for them, you're going to feel the exact opposite. But it's the same frequency. It's just at another side of the spectrum. So I said that, you know, to explain polarity. And also, even when you're getting information, for me, I use the principle to understand that, you know, people are big on what is wrong, what is right. In some countries, things that are illegal here are legal in that country. It's customary. Even things that we do in America are completely an abomination in other countries. So what makes it wrong or right? A social construct, the fact that some people came together and said, okay, this is what's wrong and this is what's right. But what is wrong and right? Now, within ourselves, we're not going to use extreme examples, because I feel like everybody is born deep down with the knowledge of what is an abomination, what you shouldn't do, especially in regards to other people. But we're talking about regular things, you know what I'm saying? Like, even let's talk about sagging pants. Some people would be like, that's an about, nobody should sag their pants. But to other people, that is the right thing to do. It was this brother who hit me up on Facebook one time. I was having a conversation about it. He said the reason I sagged my pants when I was young is because I never had pants that fit. They were always high waters, so I had to sag for my pants to look better. So that was the right thing to do. Even when you're dealing with anything that you do, you have to do what's right for you. You know, something that works for you or something that's right in your own mind might work for you, it might not work for somebody else. So you have to go based upon your own feelings. So that's touching on the law of the principle of polarity. And now I'm going to go to the principle of rhythm. This is the fifth principle. I told you I don't want to make this long. Everything flows in and out. Everything has tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This literally, I'm not even going to read well, I should read some of it to y'all. I'm going to read, it says, this law is the manifestation in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and the fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally the mental states of man. And it is with this latter that the Hermeticists found the understanding of this principle most important. Okay, so this is truly my favorite principle, all right? The principle of rhythm. Because things, you know, just like the tide goes in and out, everything ebbs and flows. All nations, like it says, rise and falls. What nation do you know has existed forever? Even the United States is like, what, 200 or so years old? That's not old at all. There's dynasties that last thousands and thousands of years. So the United States is really a baby in terms of nations. So think, you know, everything rises and falls, everything, even your mental states. So with the principle of polarity, how it helped me was when, because, you know, when you get depressed or sad, especially people who've dealt with depression, it feels like your life is over and you hate it. Because really you want to feel good all the time. When I understood this principle, I understand that everything is in cycles. Even the Bible has a verse where it says there's a time for everything. This is also in Ecclesiastes. It says, like, there's a time to rise, there's a time to fall, there's a time to build, there's a time to destroy, there's a time to be happy, there's a time to weep. So it makes you realize that there is the balance. So even if you're dealing at a time in your life where you feel you're not on top of your game, or you feel like you're on the lower end of the spectrum, when you realize this principle of polarity, it makes it a lot easier for you to shift your vibration in a conscious way. Because by one, just understanding that, first of all, this is the rhythm of life. Even everything that you see, vibration and energy and sound waves, everything moves in the form of a wave. This is how everything vibrates, and everything vibrates in that pattern. Whether it's a sharp pattern, where it's barely, everything is moving in a pattern if you could see it outside of just how it looks physically to your eyes. Okay, so once you understand this principle, you realize that even, let's say you're dealing with disparity, like let's say you got kicked out of your house and your life sucks, everything is going wrong. I dealt with this type of stuff. When you truly understand this principle and embody this principle, you realize that you can reap the equal and opposite benefit of that, because every wave, right, just like I'm showing you, y'all see what wave, do I have a pen in here? Waves have low points and high points. Even if you think of the ocean, I'm trying to take this pen out, my daughter be messing with my stuff, but even when you think about the ocean, everything is in the form of a wave. So if you're operating at a low point, which I'm about to draw the wave pattern that I'm talking about, if you're operating, can y'all see this? Okay, I don't know if you can see this wave, but see, this is a high point and this is a low point. And when you're dealing with wave, the space between the high points and the low points are exactly the equal in length, okay, equal in measurement. So when you're dealing with this type of work, let's say you're here, you're vibrating lower, you're dealing with some low life stuff, you have the potential to reverse that and end up reaping the exact equal and opposite benefits at a higher frequency. So for me, just understanding that alone helped me to just be able to have way more control over my perception and how I deal with life on a day-to-day basis. Understanding that things happen in cycles and understanding how to maneuver from a lower frequency to a higher frequency. So that's truly why I love the principle of polarity. Also, let me read one of the next principles. Let me see. I done came out of the PDF. Whew, my back hurts, y'all. I've been sitting here like this for too long. Okay, the next principle. Oh, see, I'm all up in the wrong stuff. Y'all forgive me. I'm tired. This is literally like the last video I'm doing today. I think I did like 7 videos just now. So I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy and I still got to do some work for my clients, and then I could just chill. Me and my baby gonna have a movie night tonight. We're gonna eat and chill. Okay, so then we have principle 6, which is the principle of cause and effect, which we've all heard of this. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Now, the reason that this principle is rather deep is because, for one, with the principle of cause and effect, literally, you know, we hear the saying, we are all one, all of us come from the same source energy. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We've heard that in the Newton's laws. Okay, so that's one way to put it. But it just means that everything you do is going to affect somebody. Even when you're talking about, you know, let's talk about it on a spiritual level, or people who are supposed to be leaders. Things that people say affect somebody. So let's say I say something that hits somebody in a positive way, right? Then they take that information, absorb it, use it, they hit somebody else in a positive way. It's a chain reaction. Now, let's say, you know, there's a negative seed that's sown, which negative seeds are sown all throughout our media. So let's say that there's a negative seed that's sown. This person takes that idea, it transcends and it goes. And that's just from a mental aspect. But there are just so many things, you know, even things that people did hundreds of thousands of years ago is affecting us today, because nothing happens according to law. I mean, nothing happens by chance. Everything happens according to law. And then also with this principle, it says that nothing escapes the law. Now, what it was saying by that, because if you read this principle, it goes into saying that people who are operating at the higher planes have control over people at the lower planes. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Now, this is true, and the way that I want to bring that to life is by explaining a personal example. When you're vibrating at a higher level, if you're dealing with people who are not as mentally clear as you because they just have a lot going on energetically and they haven't been working on cleansing their energies. A lot of times what you would notice is that you kind of have like a telepathic or psychic influence over that person. This happens to me all the time. That's why I try not to even deal with people like that on that level, because what you'll start to realize is when you're vibrating at a certain level, and this happened to me physically, it's like sometimes it feels physical. It's like if their waves, let's say their vibration is low, right? Your frequency can take over their vibration. Think about it in terms of a radio station. And this is my personal example. If you're listening to a weak station, it's staticky, right? It's kind of, you can't really hear music. A stronger station is taking over that station. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can kind of hear more music from the other station because it has a stronger frequency. So you're not going to be able to hear that station with the weaker frequency or the weaker signal. So the stronger frequency takes over and you hear more of that stronger frequency. That's the same thing when you're talking about vibration and energy. And this is to a whole deeper level. I never even talked about this with nobody, especially not on camera. But when you get to a certain point, you will actually be able to see that you can kind of control people mentally through thought, through vibration. And that's why this stuff that I'm teaching is deep, but you also have to open your heart chakra, because you want to make sure that all that you're doing is operating from an open heart chakra. That's why the chakra work is very important. You want to use these abilities in a positive way and only when they're necessary. But even when you think about the television, think about the low frequencies. Like, the television and the radio has such a grasp and a grip over most of the population. Most people are such conformists that they're scared to speak out even about things that they don't believe, like homosexuality. There's so many people who are still against that. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I just don't believe that there should be a strong agenda pushed like it's being pushed and perpetuated. I don't believe that my daughter should turn on the TV and see two men kissing. That's another story, okay? And it's not that I have a problem with that at all. I'm just saying there are certain things that I'm seeing being pushed and perpetuated through the media. So the reason that the media has such a strong influence is because, first of all, most people are vibrating at a very low frequency. When you look at most movies and most TV shows, people watch Empire. I have never watched it, but I heard about it. It sounds like a very low vibrating show. It sounds like a low vibrating show. I'm not saying that it's not entertaining. I'm sure it's entertaining, but it doesn't seem like something that's coming from a higher frequency. A lot of the movies, a lot of the news is fear tactics. That's because people are drawn to that because they're operating already in that lower frequency. So the media and these people who are behind it has such control over the people watching it because they're not even operating at that frequency. People talk about the Jews and what they're doing and this and that. That's because, for one, they understand these principles and they're using these principles against people who do not know the law. Okay, that's another reason I wanted to touch on these topics. You know, like ignorance. You see what I'm saying? It's ignorance. And so the people who know have dominion over the people who do not know. And that's really what all of this is about. So a lot of people, especially in the black community, or people who are like, you know, black people need to be liberated. What can we do to help black people? What we can do to help black people is allow black people to gain knowledge of self and understand the laws so that they can take it and use it and not be used by it just because of ignorance. So I'm touching on these things. I'm going to do individual videos about each of these principles, especially a few of them, maybe not all of them, but a few of them that really stick out to me that I can explain to you in a very clear way of how it's being used. But that principle of cause and effect, I had to touch on that. The last one is the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests in all planes, okay? So I'm going to read some of this. It says, this is true not only for the physical plane, but of the mental and even higher spiritual planes. On the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex. On higher planes, it takes higher forms, but the principle is ever the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle. And so this is very interesting, especially the debate between men and women. You know, women are better, men are better, the woman is divine, the man is this, the woman was first, the man was second. It's important to realize that every one of us have masculine and the feminine aspect. A person who becomes balanced and whole embraces both the feminine and the masculine aspect within themselves. I believe those are the individuals who are able to have healthy relationships, people who understand that principle, even just from that degree. When people think of masculine or feminine in the physical realm, we usually think of sex as it says it manifests as sex. But this goes to show you that even when you think about that the masculine and feminine principle is not only existing, we see it as sex. He's a man, I'm a woman because I have breasts. He's a man because he has balls. Sorry y'all, I'm tired. So we see it in that type of way. You see what I'm saying? But in other higher spiritual forms, it doesn't even manifest as a difference between what your gonads look like. You see what I'm saying? So even when you think about it on that level alone, it lets you know that there's a balanced nature to everything in existence. Everything has a masculine and feminine side. Even if you think about electricity, how does it work? If you just have an outlet there by itself, nothing's gonna happen. But as soon as you take a plug and plug it into the outlet, now you have a circuitry flowing, you have a technology that works. You see what I'm saying? So that principle exists in everything, and it's important to think about that principle of gender, especially when you're dealing with other people. You know, we're not even going to talk about it on a higher spiritual level. We're just going to talk about it on a physical level. Understanding that the masculine and the feminine exist within everything and within everybody, and not trying to put down the masculine or trying to put down the feminine. Today in our society, we have such an issue, and it's such out of balance because we live in a highly patriarchal society, which only nourishes a certain type of mindset and a certain type of energy. People say, well, it should be matriarchal, and there has been a lot of civilizations that were matriarchal before the patriarchal societies. In my mind, I believe that it has to be balanced, because if the matriarchal societies were working as efficiently as everybody said that they were, we would still be living in a matriarchal society. If the patriarchal society was so good, it wouldn't be such hell and chaos and abuse of power and just a lot of low level things that we're living in now. So the true key is a balance of both powers and both frequencies. Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick video about the 7 Hermetic Principles. I will be putting a link to the Kybalion and the PDF below. Read it. I was reading it for years. The first time I got it was years ago, and I honestly didn't even know what the hell it was talking about. I just came across it because I was downloading like a lot of books, and I came across, that was one of the books I downloaded. But then I read it again, and I wanted to understand it, but I still didn't. And I read it, I remember the last time I read the whole book, because it's longer than the Principles. It's actually a good book to read. It has so much information and so many nuggets, and it's like every time I read the Kybalion, when I go back to it, it's a gift that keeps on giving. So I hope that y'all got something from this video. Definitely you want to study the 7 Hermetic Principles, and you want to see them manifest in your life. And also the law of attraction, to me, the principles, these 7 universal laws, you can say that all of them together are the law of attraction, kind of. I feel like they're a little bit deeper than that, but I definitely will say they have a lot to do with the law of attraction as you know it. So by understanding these principles, you're going to understand the law of attraction to a whole nother level. So I hope this was helpful. I love y'all. I'm super tired. I did like a million videos today because I love you, and I got to get this information for y'all to be able to do the work. Talk to y'all later. Peace.